Welcome back. It is exactly 9:42 a.m. and our next guest is Kristal Duncan, and she is the project leader. I think it's Kristal Duncan-Williams. I thought there was a name missing there. She's the project leader of Youth Capital campaign advocating for youth-centered and evidence-based solutions to youth unemployment. Sorry if I sound very staggered, but I've been given your all of your information on a slip of paper and it's difficult to read. So I do apologize for that. Welcome to the program.
No worries.
Lots to unpack. Okay,
Thanks for having me.
just give us a background as to whom you are and what is it that you guys, promote, advocate for, or, well, you are an advocacy group. So what is it that you advocate for?
Sure. So we really exist for two main reasons, or came into existence for two reasons, which is one, to ensure that young people's lived experiences are shaping the youth unemployment solutions that are being created, which traditionally are quite top down, decided by government or big business. And secondly, that there's some kind of clear agenda for tackling youth unemployment. And so to that end, we have the action plan, which we list as the 10 key systemic challenges we think that young people face on their journey from learning to earning. And this plan is really the result of conversations with young people across the country, as well as a deep dive into research and data from South Africa. And so the action plan has been endorsed
Carry on.
about over 50 and entities across South Africa, and really looks at the things that young people, the systemic challenges, things like the cost of looking for work, things like the fact that young people struggle to get certified, whether that's accessing degrees because they have historical debt, or completing their matric through rewrite programs. We also look at something that we're focusing on a lot at the moment are big scale public employment programs like the Basic Education Employment Initiative. And so these are some of the things that we're advocating for at the moment. We also released a report recently called Bridge the Gap, where we started engaging with small and medium enterprises to understand their challenges with hiring young people. And so we really see ourselves as a connector of the dots, always engaging with young people, a lot of it online and through partner organizations who are in communities with young people, and bringing all of that insight and experience together with the research and those people in power who we hope can change things for the better.
Kristal, a worrying report that came out yesterday suggesting that millions of young South Africans are jobless. This study finds that giving them soft skills while networking helps their prospects. Now, I'm not quite sure, who did this piece of research or who are the companies or the governing bodies that were involved in this initiative. It goes on to say that the fact that more than half of the South African population is under 30 years of age, and we're all aware of that, could be beneficial for the country's economic growth and development. But South Africa has not been able to reap this demographic dividend, and this is largely due to a skills mismatch. So where do you come into the picture, your organization, and whom do you converse with regarding this issue? It's a serious issue. If that amount of people are jobless, I think the figure is sitting at about 35%. I spoke to a labor law expert yesterday who suggested that it's sitting at 40%. That's really frightening. How do we move forward?
Yeah, so yesterday the new quarterly labor force survey stats were released, and if you look at young people aged 15 to 24 specifically, 6 in 10 of them are unemployed. So the stats are even higher when you look at that particular youth demographic, and so this is alarming. Another study that came out yesterday, and I'm mentioning it because it's all linked, is the Pearl study, which looks at grade 4 learners. It's an international kind of benchmark of being able to read for meaning. And 8 in 10 grade 4 South African children cannot read for meaning. That is an extremely terrifying statistic. And I mention that because you're talking about a skills mismatch, and there is no one answer. There is no particular thing. fix the ability of grade 4 children to read for meaning, and that would be great, and it's not an easy fix, but we could fix that. But that's not going to help them when they leave school and they don't have money to look for work because transport's expensive and data is expensive. And then even if you fix that, if you don't address the fact that young people don't have work experience, and that a lot of the kind of even the university experience that they get does not prepare them for the world of work and for the rapidly changing world of work and what that looks like, then they still won't get a job. So my point is that we really need to look at all of these different points along the journey, and we need to work together. And one of the campaigns that we're running, which is really central to what was raised in that article that you mentioned, is this idea of social networks. And so we're running the Stand Up campaign currently at Youth Capital in the lead up to Youth Day. And this campaign in our mind is very pivotal because a lot of the things I'm speaking about, fixing the education system, improving transport infrastructure, these are massive things that only the government can do. And it might leave the average South African feeling like, well, what can I possibly do? And helping young people grow their social connectedness, as we refer to it, is a seriously underappreciated resource that we all have to offer. And so at Youth Capital, we've got the Stand Up campaign. We really give any South African who wants to connect with the young people some guidelines, some practical steps to take, from simple things like helping a young person, create a LinkedIn profile, all the way through to, if you are a business owner, helping a young person who's, has an entrepreneurial mindset, has a great business idea, help them come up with a business plan, be a bit of a business mentor to the young person. So, those are two extremes of things you can do. And there's lots of things in between. And you can read all about #StandUp and sign up for the campaign. And then you'll get newsletters and mailers explaining what to do and guiding you through that. Because young people don't have social networks. And what that means is they don't have exposure to what building a particular career can look like. They don't have any idea where to start. They don't have the information. Then they don't have the resources like clothes to wear to an interview, as I said, money to even get transport to get to the interview. Young people don't know how to draft a CV. I mean, all of us that have employed people can think of the horrendous CVs that we've gotten. And so these are just things that those of us who are working, have been working for some time, maybe take for granted, but young people just aren't exposed to it. And it's because apartheid did such a great job of, dividing us. And we are still spatially very divided in this country. And it means that young people who are in peri-urban areas, in townships, and, in deep rural areas are just not connected into social networks that can open up opportunities for earning and learning for them. And we need to start bridging those divides, and that's on each of us to do. The government can try to institute things to make that happen, but that's really something that each individual South African can take upon themselves.
And let's not forget the corruption in government currently, which is adding to our woes. I mean, 30 years in power, and the ANC government leaves a lot to be desired. We should not be sitting in a situation like this with an unemployment level of almost 40%. What is the ruling party doing for our young people? Absolutely nothing. But be that as it may, we're not here. Well, I guess politics is part of our daily lives. It's our bread and butter.
Yep.
But be that as it may, I like the point. I was going to raise it anyway about the grade 4 pupils in our country not being literate or not being able to read with comprehension. We need to hold the Department of Education, basic education, we need to hold them accountable for this. This is absolutely deplorable. Added to that, we've just heard about the high rate of schoolgirl pregnancies. Those girls fall out of the system. They probably think they're doing okay because they're getting a 350 Rand child grant. How long does a 350 Rand last you? It can't even buy you a can of milk and enough nappies to take you through the rest of the month. So we have all of those dropouts, plus we're pushing the matric pass rate. We've dropped those levels to 40 or 30%, something ridiculous like that. How do we expect our young people to graduate at university? So there are all of these issues that we need the different role players to come together and apply their minds. And then it brings us back to the issue of the soft skills training. I heard comments like soft skills training is not going to put food on the table. No, it may not put food on the table, but it's going to allow those young people to be able to interact possibly meaningfully, with respect, and presentably, hopefully. Your thoughts?
I think that soft skills are so critical. I've seen many studies on LinkedIn. They've surveyed the organizations there who recruit through the LinkedIn platform. Soft skills are all top 3 things that are kind of list. And South Africa, talking about tech, and people will talk about 4IR and digital skills. The honest truth is our education system is not preparing the majority of young people to take up this very technical positions. You need to be really good at maths and science. And I mean, I'm not even that good at, physical science myself. And I don't enjoy maths, and I wouldn't want to be a coder. So, I can think of many young people who feel the same. And so while, the digital economy is one way to channel young people, we have to think about the fact that that's not going to solve for the crisis of the 9 million young people that are not in employment, education, or training. But soft skills in the areas of tourism, where you don't need to be proficient in maths and science, but you need to be able to communicate well, you need to be able to plan, and engage with people. And so the soft skills can really go a long way. And as an employee, a young person who can write an email, who knows how to communicate with older people or people unlike them, is really going to differentiate that young person from somebody who doesn't have those skills. And in an economy where jobs are few and far between, having soft skills can really set you apart. So I think we mustn't underestimate how powerful that is. And we have to think about how we can build that into, the curriculum. As you say, we have life orientation, but it's not teaching young people those skills, which means that when they do leave the schooling system, they are ill-equipped to deal with the next step, whether that be post-school study or the world of work.
My final question then is, our TVET colleges, are they up to it? Do we have enough of those around the country? Because whereas our young people are chasing degrees, which they're not equipped to chase, they don't have the necessary qualifications. And I think this goes back to the years of the dark days of apartheid. We as colored Indian and Black people were, we weren't allowed these opportunities. So we always aspired and aspired for our children to to go into tertiary education. But around the world, we know that the trades are in high demand. We need to get our children to shift their thinking and realize where they can get meaningful employment. That's the first step for us. And the other step is that government and big corporates are, as you've also indicated, not everybody is cut out for coding, etc. They're pushing AI and IT in a very, very big way. And young people are viewing that as possibly taking away jobs from them. If we're sitting with a 40% unemployment rate in the country, people who probably are in the trades or in other areas, tourism or wherever else, or haven't still found a suitable fit, they're going to see IT and AI as a threat to them.
Yeah, so I think we need to look at, a basket of solutions. Like much of what else I've said today, there isn't going to be a one size fits all. I think we need to look at a range of sectors. IT is one of it for some young people. I think tourism, particularly because I'm based in the Western Cape, so I always think of tourism. I think that, it's one way for young people to really create a niche system for themselves, but then there needs to be some legislation that allows smaller players a piece of the pie in the tourism market. And then the green economy, which is top of mind in many conversations that I've been in when we're speaking about the prediction of the skills that are going to be needed. I think the green economy presents a lot of opportunity along the different layers of skills. You're not going to get a robot coming to sort recycling or, clean up rivers, if you're starting with real low-skilled entry-level jobs. The same with tourism. I don't want to show up to a hotel to a robot welcoming me. I want a person. And I think that human connection element is not going to go away. If I'm going to be going on a tour, I want a person taking me on the tour. So I think there are human connections that we all crave as human beings. And there are certain areas where that's not going to be taken away by machine learning. And so we need to think about those areas alongside the digital economy, because obviously that is happening and we need to move with the rest of the world where that's concerned. But I think, we need to think about all these different pieces and how they tie together.
Okay, Kristal, we have to leave it there. I will give you a few minutes to wrap up, summarize what we've been talking about. But having said everything that you and I have talked about this morning, I'm still not convinced that enough is being done by the powers that be, government, and other organizations like yourself, not because you're not putting your weight behind, what you're intending to achieve, but it's just that you're not big enough to be able to accommodate all of our youth or all of the unemployed people in the country. Having said that, how do we move forward on this issue of unemployed youth? Because if we don't address it, we're sitting on a ticking time bomb.
Yeah, so I think the saddest thing for me is, 20 million young people in this country, and we're missing out on their energy, on their passion, on their skill, on their talent, by not creating a system in which they can thrive and create an income generating opportunity for themselves, whether that's employment or self-employment or whatever it might be. And so you're right, we really need to all put our weight into this, and we need to all be pulling in the same direction, and we need to put our own politics aside. And that's really what we're hoping the action plan will do. And so I really do encourage people to go and check out the action plan, to sign up and endorse and say you're tackling point one, because we are a small team, and we're focusing on particular things: the Basic Education Employment Initiative, looking at small and medium enterprises and bridging the gap between young people and small and medium enterprises, and then social connections we're always going to be speaking about. And so these are some of the things that we're focusing on, looking at TVET and work-based placed learning. You mentioned the TVET, that's a big disconnect there, the theory and the practical. And so we're focusing on some of these things, but there's lots of other things in the plan that we just don't, have the manpower to focus on. And so we love working with other organizations. We love amplifying the work that you are doing in the hopes that it goes to the right ears and we can scale things that are working. As you say, you might have a small organization that's doing great work, and how do we scale that to thousands of young people if it's something that's really tackling the problem? So I think I just want to leave everyone with that, and just say, please go and sign up for the Stand Up campaign, which is on our website, but you can find us on social media, Youth Capital SA, or at youthcapital.co.za.
Kristal Duncan-Williams, project lead at Youth Capital, a campaign advocating for youth-centered and evidence-based solutions to youth employment. Always a pleasure talking to you. It's great talking to a young person like you that has such great ideas. Let's hope it is replicated throughout our country and we can make a meaningful difference to all of those unemployed youth. Thank you once again. God bless. And we will hook up again sometime in the future.
Thanks so much, Julie.
It is exactly 10 o'clock, time for me to wrap up. Thank you indeed for your company this morning. Thank you to our production team as well, and that's you, Nazreen Naidu, and of course, Abdul Salam behind the controls. From me till Monday morning at the same time as always, please take care on the roads. Enjoy the rest of the week. And may Allah be with one and all, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum and Khudafiz from me, Julie Ali.